Hello, friends. I'm Danielle Nativ, scientist, health coach, and mom with Hashimoto's, and I want to welcome you to the Thyroid 101 Masterclass. Well, you've had hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's for a while, or if you're newly diagnosed, or if you just suspect that your thyroid may be at the root of some of the awful symptoms you've been suffering, you're in the right place. This is the right place to learn what's going on with your thyroid, how it affects your body, and what you can do to heal your thyroid, heal your body, and get your life back. I know it's possible because not only have I done it for myself, but I have helped literally hundreds of women just like you get their lives back. I know it feels impossible, but my friends, it is very doable. And over the course of this masterclass, you will learn what's going on and what you need to do to heal. By the end of this masterclass, not only will you know so much more about your thyroid, but you will be able to answer the maddening question that so many of us ask over and over again: why do I still have symptoms if my thyroid labs are normal? I did not always know how to do this. I actually had to learn it just like you. I started having symptoms of hypothyroidism way back in my 20s, but of course I had no idea what it was, and none of the doctors could help me. So I just kept suffering with everything from hair falling out to exhaustion to terrible digestive issues. Complete mystery. It wasn't until I was in my 30s and had suffered from infertility for a couple of years and 3 miscarriages that I was finally diagnosed as hypothyroid. And then I was basically, just like many of you, just given the medication. They gives me levothyroxine and liothyronine. I will talk about those later in the class, and sent me on my way. Luckily, that was enough to help me get pregnant, but it was a very difficult pregnancy. And after my son was born, I was a mess. It wasn't just the usual postpartum fatigue and that. I was so exhausted I could barely get out of bed to take care of my son. I had to be like peeled off the floor. Everything in my body ached. My joints ached. My digestion was terrible. My head was foggy. I was depressed, anxious, you name it. And because nobody told me, but like so many women, my hypothyroidism got worse with pregnancy. And a lot of women get hypothyroidism after pregnancy. And that was certainly my case. It got so much worse. And still, I was diagnosed with hypothyroid a decade after my symptoms, but I still didn't know why. So at that point, I was ready to heal. I was ready to do whatever it took, but the doctors are no help. Like many of you, I was just given the medication and that was it. Of course, I had to figure out the rest of myself. So as a scientist, I was lucky. I had the skills to dig into the research, and I did. I found every book and article and expert in everything. And I finally figured out what I had to do. But honestly, it wasn't until my 40s that I was actually diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So it took 20 years, and I want to shorten that journey for you. I was able to figure out what to do, figure out how to get myself diagnosed. Finally, I asked the doctor for the tests, and I was going to heal, and that's what I'm here to teach you. The goal of this workshop is to show you the critical things that you need to know to heal your thyroid and get your life back, just like I did. Here's what I learned and what I want to share with you, and 3 big things. 1, most, if not all, the awful symptoms that you're experiencing are due to your thyroid. We're going to talk about symptoms and where they come from. 2, you need to get the proper test done and understand how to interpret the results so you can advocate for yourself and know whether you're getting the right information. 3, and this is so important, while hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's may be diagnoses, they don't have to be life sentences. And I really want you to believe me on that one, my friends. Take it on faith in this moment, but by the end of this, you'll know more. You can heal, and we're going to talk about how. So when you know how your thyroid works and why it doesn't work and how hypothyroidism can cause all these symptoms, you will also be in the position to heal your body and get your life back. So let's dig in. In this first video, we're going to focus on how your thyroid works, why sometimes it doesn't, and why that leads to some of the reasons why we can still feel awful, even though our labs say that we are normal. So again, here we are in the Thyroid 101 Masterclass, Danielle Nativ, scientist and health coach. And I want to remind, the name of this first video is Why Do I Still Feel Awful If My Labs Are Normal? And we're going to start this today and get more into tomorrow. And in fact, by the end of these 3 days, you'll know many of the reasons why this is true. So welcome all my thyroid warriors. Again, regardless of where you are in your journey, you are in the right place to learn more about hypothyroidism. So let's talk about your thyroid. It's this small butterfly-shaped gland here. This is your larynx here, your Adam's apple, your windpipe. Your thyroid wraps around your windpipe. It's an endocrine gland located here on the base of your throat. Endocrine gland means it makes hormones that are secreted into the bloodstream to affect the function of other organs and tissues in the body. It is butterfly-shaped, and again, either side of your windpipe, which is why a swollen thyroid can affect your breathing and make you feel like you have something in your throat. These are just some of the many bodily functions that are regulated by your thyroid. We have your brain, your body weight, body temperature, bone health and muscle health and contractions, your liver in many ways, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. Menstrual cycle affects sex hormones, both for men and women. Metabolism of glucose, so insulin, breathing, and your heart rate. So if you don't have thyroid hormone, any of these systems can go awry, right? If you don't have enough hormone to regulate these systems aren't going to work. And I'm just going to go a little bit, the nerd in me has to share this. Here is a paper called The Thyroid Hormone Regulation of Metabolism. Over there. Around 2014, physiological reviews. And here's just some of the things that your thyroid is involved in your metabolism. So if you've been told like, oh no, your thyroid isn't why you can't lose weight, that's ridiculous because your thyroid is what decides whether or not you lose weight. So here we have your blood pressure and your heart rates, your pancreas and insulin. Let's see, come on. Pancreas, oh, we got all three of them. Pancreas and insulin development. So again, glucose regulation, your muscles, energy expenditure. This is critical, whether or not you burn fats. Here, my friends, we have your liver, we have cholesterol, and so that's LDL. If you have very high LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, could be due to your thyroid. Fatty acids, so fat metabolism in the liver, which is lipolysis, which is the breakdown of fat and the decrease in overall body fat. And thermogenesis, so both lipolysis, the breakdown of fat, and the thermogenesis, the creation of heat or the burning of fat, determine body weight. So no thyroid hormone, no metabolism, no healthy metabolism. Thyroid hormones are needed by nearly every cell. And in fact, every cell in the body has receptors, which means every cell in the body can use and needs thyroid hormone. It affects multiple organs and pathways in the body, which is why the effects of thyroid imbalance are so far reaching. Thyroid problems, here is a short list, impact energy, weight, moods, metabolism, cognition, your menstrual cycle, and as was the case for me, also, and for many of us, pregnancy. And here's just a paper, Journal of Family and Medicine and Primary Care, some of the symptoms. You may recognize this. And in fact, I am going to give you a handout that has a chart where you can write down your symptoms and track them over time. But here's just some of the symptoms that are familiar to you: weight gain, cold intolerance, fatigue, hair loss, dry skin, muscle and joint pain, depression, insomnia, poor memory impairment, poor attention span and concentration, forgetfulness, emotional dysfunction, constipation, menstrual hormonal issues, infertility, reduced perspiration, hoarseness, and feeling fullness in the throat. Remember, because it's right here. Decreases, that should say, in vision and hearing, paresthesia, which is pins and needles, and nerve pinching. Here's a poll just to show you a little unscientific poll in my Facebook group, Danielle's, Coach Danielle's Thyroid Energy Solutions. And I did this in February originally, and it's been running ever since. This picture was taken like in April or May, so there's all these numbers like double. But again, it shows you weight gain, lack of energy, dry skin, itchy nails. And this is just the order in which people in my group have, I think these have switched. I think depression is now second or third or something, but they're right, this is pretty common. And I urge you to join the group. It's free and it's phenomenal women in there, mostly women, overwhelmingly, because thyroid issues overwhelmingly affect women. And you'll be among a phenomenal group of sympathetic people. Most of those responses came from people who were on medication and supposedly told they were fine. So you are not alone. Here's some studies that show exactly that. Health-related quality of life in levothyroxine-treated women. Despite being euthyroid, which means supposedly normal labs, women with hypothyroidism showed a poor quality of life, both mental and physical, than women without hypothyroidism. How they can call us healthy when our health is poor is mystery. Psychological well-being. This is from 2002, but this is some, it was cited in later papers. You can find this year in and year out. Patients on hormone replacement, even with normal TSH, have significant impairment in psychological well-being compared to controls. And again, tons of papers, but here's the one on sexual function. Hypothyroidism associated with an increase in the prevalence of sexual dysfunction, lower desire and arousal, and reported penetration pain, even if treated with levothyroxine and TSH levels are normal. And if you are dissatisfied with the care you've received from your physician, you are not alone. Over 12,000 people, a study done in 2018. Although physicians believe that hypothyroidism is an eminently treatable condition, a portion of such patients believe their lives have been greatly affected by disease and, surprise, surprise, are unhappy with their treatment and their physicians. So it's very weird reading this paper because like they're totally baffled. Like it's because we feel terrible and you're not helping us. Crazy. So again, many hypothyroid symptoms persist even after patients take medication and are told their lab markers are normal. So let's talk about why. What are some of those markers? What is actually going on? So what's going on? What does the thyroid gland actually do? Well, your thyroid secretes two essential hormones that your body needs. About 95-96% is thyroxine or T4, and about 4% is triiodothyronine or T3. Pituitary gland in the brain, they produce the hypothalamus talks to the pituitary gland. Pituitary produces TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, to talk to the thyroid. Already we have a problem. This is what doctors measure. It's not actually produced by the thyroid. We'll get more into that tomorrow. And your thyroid produces T4 and T3. We're not going to worry about calcitonin. It's not important in this context. It's important to know that T4 is a storage form of the hormone. T3 is the active form. Very important to know that. T4 has to be made from T3 has to be made from T4. It's actually converted to be used. So T3 is the hormone we actually need to feel better, and we have to make this conversion. So let's look at these two. Can you spot the difference between them? I always like to play this little game because it's amazing. We can certainly feel the difference. It's the difference between feeling great and feeling horrible. And it's this one teeny tiny difference. And my friends, there it is. That one little iodine, this tiny little bond is severed and we feel good or feel awful. So T4 is made, T4 made by the thyroid and then sent to various places in your body. The brain and the heart and tissues and some others can convert T4 to T3, but most of it has to go here to the liver and the gut and some to the kidneys as well, and is where it gets converted. This is critical because if anything's going on here, your liver and your gut, or kidneys or other places, you won't do this conversion very well. It is very common for people with chronic illnesses that affect like as a liver or gut or have other problems to have difficulty converting T4 to T3. In fact, I recently did a genetic test. It ends up I have lower amounts. I have a genetic mutation or allele that means I have lower amounts of these hormones. I mean, of these enzymes to convert these hormones. So it is very common for people with these illnesses to have difficulty converting. And if you can't convert, if you have trouble converting, you can have all the T4 in the world and not have enough T3. I feel like crap. Now there's other ones. So here, my friends, we have, right, your thyroid produces mostly T4 with some T3. And remember this iodine here is missing. But you can also create something called reverse T3. See, here's T4, has 4 iodines, T3, this one is missing. Reverse T3, this one is missing. Seems like a small change. Reverse T3 cannot be used by your body. This is a useless hormone. And I can talk tomorrow when we talk more about thyroid labs, some of the theories about why we have reverse T3 and why it's important to measure it. So one of the many reasons that you may feel awful is simply because you don't have enough hormone. You're actually, regardless of the medication you're getting, you're not actually getting enough hormone. And maybe you don't produce enough T4, maybe not a hormone at all, and you just don't produce enough. That's why you're hypothyroid in the first place. Not enough T4, not enough T3. Maybe you're on T4, but not enough T3 because your body's not converting either the hormone you make or the hormone you get synthetically in a medication. If your body can't convert, again, not enough T3. Or you may have enough T4, but too much is being converted to T3. So all of these mean you don't have enough, you do not have enough, wow, there we go. You don't have enough active T3 thyroid hormone. So if you don't have enough active T3 thyroid hormone, you're going to feel terrible. You are literally going to be hypothyroid. So what I want to know now is, what are your most frustrating symptoms, my friends? Because there are a few questions that come up right now. Why might you still feel awful? Because simply, there you go, you're not getting a thyroid hormone, right? Even though you're getting the medication, perhaps, you're not getting a thyroid hormone. So either you don't produce enough T4, right? That's where the hypothyroidism started from. Your body probably didn't produce enough T4. And if you don't have enough T4, it's not being converted to T3, right? You can't have enough T3 without raw ingredients. Maybe you are on medication and you have enough T4, but not enough T3 because your body's not doing the conversion properly. And maybe you have enough T4, but too much is still becoming T3. And all of these, what does it mean? You don't have enough active T3 or thyroid hormone, and that's why you feel awful. So there are usually a few questions that come up at this point. How do I know if thyroid issues are the cause of my problem? How do I talk to my doctor about getting tested? And of course, the biggie, which we have only started to answer, is why do I still have these symptoms if my labs are normal? That is what we are going to cover more and more in the next few videos. So the next videos we're going to address in tomorrow's video is the next question we're going to address in tomorrow's video are going to be how hypothyroidism is diagnosed, the test that you need to take. So that's going to be really important. And also I'm going to tell you how to understand your own labs so that you can decide whether or not you're getting the right health advice, because it is so critical for those with thyroid issues to advocate for ourselves. It is extraordinarily rare for doctors to understand this and to give us the right care and the right treatment right off the bat. So we need to advocate for ourselves, and that's what we're going to learn tomorrow. But right now, my friends, I want to learn more about you. I want to know, what are your most frustrating symptoms? And this is really important too. What would your life be like if you can eliminate the symptoms? I know it's really hard to imagine that second one, but it's impossible to heal if we don't have a vision of where we're going. So please tell me, comments below, just scroll down. What are your most frustrating symptoms and how can life be different if you can eliminate them? And my friends, stay tuned. Come back tomorrow. We will continue this and you will learn more about what you can do to heal your body. And answer the question, why do I still have symptoms in my labs and normal? See you then.